The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us right here on this beautiful weekend. And yes, it is our second Go Texan edition. What that means simply is that right here in this month of March 2025, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is in town. So we celebrated on this show. So if you're listening outside of Houston, it's a special time right here in Houston. We wear Western wear, have a good time, and see the rodeo whenever and as often as we can. So welcome to the show. We're going to get started right now. A very fitting guest to start off this Go Texan edition. His name, Buck Perino. He is with Carswell Real Estate, and also in some circles, if not all, he's known as the Realtor on Horseback. Buck, welcome to the show.
Howdy, sir. How you doing today?
Well, you're a real-life cowboy in so many ways, representing Houston and the Houston real estate community in a very unique way. So first of all, let's tell people about Carswell Real Estate.
So Carswell Real Estate's out in Pinehurst, Magnolia, Texas. They big market shareholder out there, small boutique brokerage, and they've been out there for 20 plus years, and they do a fine job.
But you're the only realtor on horseback.
The only realtor on horseback. That is correct.
Not just in Houston, but probably far beyond. That said, first of all, let's give people an idea, especially outside of Houston. When you mention Magnolia, Texas, as someone might think of Houston and might not be very familiar, let's tell them where Magnolia is and what's happening in Magnolia.
So Magnolia is like northwest Houston. I'd put it out farther northwest of Tomball. So you're kind of actually between College Station and Houston. I would say it's about the same drive to downtown Houston as it is for downtown College Station.
And we could establish that Magnolia is also a place where someone could find a, quote, normal residential home, but also they can find something with a little more acreage and a little more elbow room. Would
Absolutely.
that be true?
That is very correct. You do have brand new subdivisions going up that if you like that closeness and that tight-knit community, you can have that. And then also you have your horse properties. People still have their cows out on their homes. You can have that elbow room and that privacy you're looking for.
Speaking of horses, you have a few. Let's tell people about your horses and how you use that to distinguish yourself in the real estate community.
So my wife and I have 4 horses, Cobra, Stetson, Romeo, and Little Legs. We've had Cobra now, we're going on about 9 years. Stetson and Little Legs we picked up 6 years ago, and Romeo we picked up about 2 to 3 years ago. I use my horses on my listing presentations. So what I do is I take Cobra, Stetson, or Romeo. I don't take Little Legs because he's too old. He's about too old and I'm too heavy. I take them out and I do tell people about the house, and I record it on horseback, and then I put that on social media. And it's very different when someone sees a horse in a very residential community. They're like, what's a horse doing here? So
that's a good point. So let's paint that picture even further. So on a ranch or something like that, not that unusual to see a horse or even a realtor on a horse. However, let's take a quote, more normal, whatever normal means, community where homes are next to each other, right?
Right.
So let's say you list my house in this type of community, and you'll tell me in advance that you'll have your horse out there.
That's correct.
And you bring attention to the property and all the features that it has. So let's walk through that if someone wants to list their home, and there you are with the horse.
So, of course, I schedule it with them like, hey, I'm going to bring my horse out on this date. My wife and I, she's my right-hand woman. She helps me with this. Bring the horse out. We tack him up. I get on him, and we record a couple takes. Sometimes we get it first try. Sometimes it takes a couple times. But I do the whole presentation about the home, the community, or the area, all on horseback. And it definitely is an eye catcher, especially when people walk their animals around these neighborhoods or see stuff. They're like, whoa.
I just saw a guy on a horseback.
Yeah, there's a guy on horseback. What are you doing here? I think the best part is the kids. When the kids see the horses, because it is Texas, so you assume that everyone sees horses. Everyone's got horses out here. It's not the case. So when kids see it, they get so excited. And it's probably that's probably one of the best feelings is when kids go, "Can I pet the horse?" and they get really excited, and you're like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like,
and all that, and then all of a sudden, someone say, "Hey, this guy's promoting this particular home. Let's look at the home." And then I would think that leads also to other listings because there you are doing something different. In fact, I'm also imagining that as you're there riding the horse, doing the video, there's people in the neighborhood like, "Hey, honey, look out the window. Look at that."
That's correct.
And then they tell the kids it's got to be a blast.
Oh, it's absolutely. And I have picked up business that way. People see that and they're like, "This guy stands out. He is different. Please, I would like to sit down with you and see what you can do for us."
I would think a question, do you charge extra to do this?
Absolutely not. It's something I offer within my services. So I have a good way of standing out and differentiating myself in a market where there is a ton of realtors.
And as far as horses, I don't know, I know about dogs, but as far as horses go, we see them on TV and things, and would imagine they have personalities and things like that. I wonder, do you get a sense that the horse is enjoying the situation, or they're just going through their normal walk and they're not even fazed by people taking pictures and wanting to pet them and stuff like that?
That's a good question. So Cobra was actually, my wife used him for mounted patrol out in the woodlands, so she did that for a couple of years with him. So he's kind of used to going somewhere and having a job. So I think when he goes out there, he knows the routine. We're going to go tack him up. He's going to get ridden a little bit, goes up. And it's kind of, I don't think he's too fazed by it. Stetson and Romeo, I think since they're younger and they're also newer to it, they're definitely like, "What's going on? Where are we at? We smell something different." So they'll get a little excited, but I've never been like, "Okay, I'm worried about who's coming around," or stuff going by. And the last video I did on a listing, there was construction going on down the road, and the horse was fine. They weren't even fazed by it. So.
Well, you use social media. You take your videos, you put them on social media, because people might be listening right now and they'll say, "Hey, I've never seen this. I want to see this." Where can they see you talking about a listing or your real estate work and profession with the horses? What platforms are you on there,
So you
Buck?
can find me on Instagram as the Realtor on Horseback. You can go on Facebook, look up Buck Perino or Realtor on Horseback, and you'll find me there too. I have some videos on YouTube, so if you look up Buck Perino on YouTube, you can find me there too. I'm trying to be out there in front of as many people as possible on the horse, of course.
And I must say, too, the video quality is just, it's fantastic. There you are on the horse. The horse looks relaxed. You're just talking about the property. It's just really cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's definitely, as I said, it's something different, but, getting in the groove of it, it was just like, we're out here on a horse. We're having fun with this. And it's like, it's Texas. Why not do this?
We think of names, too, as we try to brand whether it's real estate or anything else. We brand businesses and things like that. But the Realtor on Horseback, people can't forget that, even if they wanted to, Buck.
Absolutely.
That
was the plan.
Now, what about the buyer? So that's great for the listing, but do the horses play a role when you're helping? If I said to you, "Buck, hey, I want a home in Magnolia or somewhere in the Northwest," does the horse come into play at all?
Not too much on the buying side. I don't know how I'd bring it and incorporate it into the buying side of it. But if someone wants to come over and see the horses, why the heck not?
Does this help you in terms of relocation? Do people reach out to you from other states where they see the videos? How does that work
I've
out?
had a few people reach out because they're like, "This guy looks like a Texan. We want you to help us find property in Texas." Because a lot of folks moving out this way want that image of what Texas is or what it used to be.
Well, because they think everybody has a horse.
I
don't have a horse.
I traveled backpacked through Europe for a couple months. Everyone's like, "You're from Texas? Do you have guns and horses?" And it's like, yes,
A little bit.
bit.
Just maybe four, and we're not going to talk about your arsenal. But in the meantime, all that said, as you plan for 2025, what's the market like here in the Northwest, Magnolia and areas surrounding? What are you finding right now?
So what I'm seeing is buyers have started to pick up, which has been a nice experience. At least I'm seeing more buyers picking up. Listings have been sitting for the last 7-8 months. I think we've all every realtor in the area has noticed stuff is not moving very quickly. But there are a ton of new builds going up in my area. So in Magnolia, there's estimated about 20,000 to 25,000 homes going up in the next couple of years. So being able to see that, and then also on top of that, I'm in a unique position that I get to witness some of this and help, organize that. I sit on City Council of Magnolia, so I've started a small political career out that way, being really involved in my community. So now I kind of get insight on what communities are going on, and then also who's within the city limits.
And also in the Magnolia western side of town, we're seeing businesses, big scale businesses, Amazon and things like that are happening. So there's, again, for those outside of Houston, there's still a lot of land out there for commercial and residential, would you say?
That's correct. Yes, there's still a lot of land for that. I mean, once they put up the Aggie Expressway, a lot more of that land became accessible because it's so much easier to get into Houston. I mean, it's a quick shot. You get on the road, you're in Houston in no time at all. So I think that opened up a lot of possibilities where you can be out there, how far you can get out or still have land.
And go back to the beginning, if you would, just a little bit, Buck. I forget, how did you get involved in real estate to begin with? What was the driver?
The driver was my wife honestly told me I needed to get into it. I've had every job I've had, someone there or someone in an authority position was like, you'd make a great realtor. And I'm like, I don't want to be a realtor. I had no desire for this. And my wife one day was like, hey, Buck, I think you'd be great at it. I think you should go for it. And I love servicing people. I love taking care of people. Customer service is my background for the last 15 years. So it was all I got to do is just take care of people. And that was what I love to do.
And your wife listens to the show all the time, I hear.
Absolutely.
And you always listen to her?
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
Yeah. Happy wife,
so
happy
now,
life.
Meanwhile, your wife's happy, and I bet the horses are in the barn right now. Tails are wagging. They're listening to you on the show.
Of course.
Buck, before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know about you, Buck Perino, the realtor on Horseback?
Well, I try to personalize all of my own transactions with every client. And I know everyone's different, so trying to give you exceptional service and standing out is something that I believe in, and having clear forms of communication and just, being authentic and genuine with it all and having fun.
And of course, we want to say too, if there's a listing, you don't have to use the horse. I mean, someone may not want to use the horse, but if they need it, it's great, but it's not a mandatory.
Yeah, if they're like, please don't do it, of course.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. But I've yet to run into that, so.
I would imagine. Buck, let's tell people how they can reach you, Buck Perino.
So you can either reach me at my phone number at 512-364-1303. And then also on Instagram at The Realtor on Horseback. You can find me on Facebook at Buck Perino, or again on YouTube as Buck Perino.
Phone number again is?
512-364-1303.
Thanks for being with us, Buck.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
As we continue, let's talk to Jen Little. Her company is SoCo Realty. She is the broker owner. Jen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's great to see you. But first of all, let's tell people SoCo Realty about your company.
Well, SoCo stands for So Cool. We like to have a good time. We're located in Santa Fe, Texas, off of Highway 6, across the street from the high school. And it's a little pink building.
And I must say, so cool, right? So cool Realty. So as far as the marketplace, again, as far as what's happening right now in your area, taking, say, buyers and sellers, are you helping more buyers or more sellers right now?
It's coming up pretty even right now. Thankfully, we have seen a lot of movement in the market this spring, coming into the springtime. More movement is, always for the better. Working with a lot of buyers, and then actually have quite a few listings coming about soon, so we can help them sell their house and get into something more fitting.
For people outside of Houston that may be listening, give them an idea of where geographically you are. You're kind of in the south, right, of Houston?
In the heart of Galveston County, and I like to say we're about 25 to 30 minutes between the beach and downtown, so kind of the best of both worlds.
And as being the broker, you also have other agents as part of your team as well.
We do. We have 6 agents on board right now, and we're looking to grow a little by the end of the year.
So then from a market standpoint, do you ever get to Galveston every now and then?
I do. I do make it out to Galveston. We sell some properties out there. I've done something in Jamaica Beach recently.
And at what point, certainly before you were a broker, you were a regular real estate agent, we'll say, right?
Yes.
But when did you decide to say, well, I want to go for more education and more responsibility and take it up to that next level of being a broker? What was the driving force there?
A few years in, I just decided that I like being a cheerleader. I like cheering on other people. I like seeing people win. So I feel like that's a strong suit for me. And I decided that I was going to be a broker by the time I could be. So at that 4-year point, I had most of my education and I was ready to roll.
So, and when we think about listings right now, so you're getting an even count, so to speak. But if someone wanted to list their home right now and they said, Jen, how do I prepare to list the home? How do you counsel the potential listing to get them ready for the adventure of selling their home, and also some of the challenges that may be ahead?
I'd say come have me out to visit your home, and I'll walk it with you and let you know what I think that you need to do to freshen it up. I'm not the agent that's just going to make you do a whole bunch off the bat, but if I see something that's going to help it to sell quicker, then we'll talk about that. But yeah, usually just a walkthrough.
Because there's so many things that come into play. When I think every now and then I'll think about selling my own home, and then I start thinking, wow, I'm going to have to declutter. Then I'm going to have to get rid of some of this stuff, sell it, and all those things. And it's a daunting thing. Plus the fact people are maybe moving across town, or they may be going to another state perhaps.
And that's why I like to have a good book of resources for my clients to help them to make that as smooth and seamless as possible for them. There are ways that it can be done without it being super stressful.
So it helps to be with the right real estate professional like Jen Little, right?
Thank you. Yes, that makes a big difference. If you're using something that cares about you, I think it really shines through.
And as we started here well into 2025, as you look ahead with your company and your team, what are some of the things you see coming down the road? Are you excited about the prospects?
Very excited about the growth. This summer that will be 2 years in business. I'm super proud and excited about that, and I'm looking to grow and expand my team.
From a social media standpoint, it's so important these days. What are the platforms that you find the most useful to your team, and what do you do on that platform? Do you use Facebook or?
We do. We use Facebook. You can find me on Facebook at Jen Little. We do a lot of silly videos. We like to have fun. We like to really just have a good time together and bring real estate into it and work hard, play hard. That's our mentality.
I think you also have an advantage. Your name is easy to spell. Everyone knows how to spell Little, so they can remember Jen Little. And by the way, so cool is kind of easy too.
Thank you. Yes, and I tell people call your homegirl. So
that's you.
That's me. Your
Jen
homegirl.
Little. So as far as, do you ever get into Houston as far as the center of the city very much, or do you stay more in the suburbs?
Well, we stay a lot in the suburbs, but we will go into Houston also. We'll really go anywhere. I mean, I sell homes in Alaska, Lake Livingston.
Wow.
Anywhere we know the market.
Well, for people not familiar with Houston, that's very far from Galveston County and the southern reaches of our town, especially when you're talking about Alaska.
Yes.
That's way up there.
Yes.
However, that's one of the marketplaces you're probably helping people if they want a second home every now and then. Do you run into that?
We do, yes. A lot of relocating and a lot of secondary market, especially, out in Galveston. A lot of secondary homes out there as well.
And that's a good thing. I think people sometimes, even myself, I think maybe I want to have that getaway home that's maybe an hour and a half from Houston. Do you see people also, Jen, that reach out to you from other states from a relocation standpoint?
I do, and that's really my specialty. They see our fun videos on social media and makes them want to work with me, and they give me a call. And I think one of my favorite things about real estate really is to show people the area and show them all the great restaurants and, where if they're in a centralized location and all the access roads, like I like to help with.
Yeah, we have a few restaurants around town, don't we? Some
good
good ones too.
Yes.
So as far as then to relocate, when you do the videos, you put the videos on Facebook or YouTube or both?
Facebook, yes.
So you're getting results with Facebook. That's interesting. So someone's going to see you. Is there any particular state they come in from the most that you're running into?
I'm running into a lot of Colorado people coming down to Texas and love to work with them.
I thought you were going to say, I'm glad you didn't say California because we have a lot of people come from California, but to hear other states that have an attraction to Houston and to Texas. So Colorado, huh?
They like our market. Yeah, they
like the market.
Very affordable here.
So that's interesting that they see you on Facebook or some of these other things. They reach out and there you go.
Isn't that neat? I love it.
It's so cool.
Small world.
Yeah, so cool. Realty. I got it. Yeah, awesome. So as far as to keep a balance, Jen, because a broker, certainly as an agent, I would think any agent that's active has their hands full. But as a broker and responsible for other agents, you're doing a lot of things and have to keep your eyes and ears on all these things. How do you stay balanced, and then do you ever relax?
I do relax. I like to travel. Like I said, it's work hard, play hard for me. So I like to play just as hard as I work, and I will find time for it. I have 3 dogs, and we enjoy hanging with them and traveling to different places. So there's plenty of time for play.
Dogs are great, aren't they?
Yes.
I think they are stress relievers. I have one. Now, your 3 dogs, are they all the same breed or?
They're not. I have a Great Dane, an Italian Greyhound, and a Blue Tick Coonhound.
The Great Dane. They're gigantic.
She's huge, but she's like a little baby.
What's her name?
She's Winnie. Her name's Winnie. We call her Minnie Mouse.
And then what about the other two?
Portia and Maybelline's our hound dog.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I haven't been around a Great Dane in a long time, but a friend of mine had one years ago, and it is astounding how much presence they have when you're with them.
Yeah, she does.
She's sweet, huh?
Sweetheart, yeah.
Probably listening to the show right now.
Yeah.
There you go. So as far as some of the other things that inspire you, Jen, here you are in real estate. Prior to real estate, give us an idea what you were doing before you started this profession.
I was a process server serving legal documents for 10 years, so I do like the travel, and so I got to continue doing that. That was a huge thing for me.
Now, the first thing I think about, I don't know what's involved with process server, but I have a feeling, does that help you do all the paperwork with real estate that's so important? Does that make it easier?
Yes, it did help a lot because there's a lot of paperwork in both fields.
A lot of details.
Yeah.
Things have to be right, I'm imagining.
Very much so.
So what are some of the other things we should know before we close the segment, Jen?
Well, if you want to get in touch with me, call your home girl, 409-739-1265. You can find me on Facebook at Jen Little. I would love to talk to you. Even if it's 6 months in the making, it's time to get the conversation started.
Now, that's a good point. Also, if someone wants to buy a home, let's say a couple months from now, right? I mean, here we are in mid-March or so. So if I think, man, in June, I think myself, my family, we want to move. When should we really start talking to an agent like yourself, Jen Little?
I say call me now. Let's get the process started. Let's, start talking about it and figure out what we need to do to make it smooth and seamless for you. And I'm excited to talk to you about
Especially with a buyer. We keep our eyes on the market as things are moving around and that sort of thing. Another quick question I'm thinking about as far as buyers. How often are you running into the cash buyer these days? Because we hear so much about interest rates, but you see any cash buyers there?
Good question. Yes, it happens all the time. Yeah, we see cash buyers still in this market.
There you go. Cash is king, as they say sometimes. Jen, let's tell people your phone number again.
409-739-1265.
Thank you so much, Jen Little.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Hannah Holland. She is with a company called Survey One. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. It's
too.
also going to be nice to talk a little bit about surveys because every now and then in the real estate transactions, they can be like really important, right?
They are very important. I think that is probably one of the most crucial things that you obtain in your real estate transaction.
Well, let's tell people about your company, Survey One.
Absolutely. So Survey One is a very highly reputable land surveying company. We're based in Alvin, Texas, and established in 2002. We have a pretty expansive service area, which is all of Harris County and all 7 counties surrounding that. So that's going to be Waller, Montgomery, Liberty, Chambers, Galveston, Brazoria, and Fort Bend.
So there's a lot of counties around here. I didn't think of it quite like that.
It makes Houston a lot bigger than what we know it as.
So so you're serving basically the whole Houston area, which is gigantic.
Pretty much all South Texas, Southeast.
So how do people find out about your company?
Well, certainly there's a few different ways of finding out about our companies other than, Googling with fantastic reviews that we have on the company, following us, certainly on Facebook, word of mouth, and we certainly do a lot of networking and have industrial partners.
And let's tell people your role with the company, by the way.
My particular role is business development with Survey One.
So it probably helps to be on the radio every now and then.
Oh, it sure does.
As one of your tools, right?
Absolutely.
What are some of the other things you do to get the word out?
Certainly to get the word out, we do networking in our community. We have our industrial or industry partners that we partner with, and definitely our word of mouth referrals. That's backed by our service and known reputation.
And of all the things you could be doing, how did you get into the survey business? Because when we think about real estate, certainly we're a title company, Stewart Title, and so forth. Yeah. There's so many aspects to the real estate transaction, buying, selling, roofing, all these things.
Quite a bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Surveys, fascinating.
So the way that I got into this was I've actually been a licensed realtor since 2017, and every one of my transactions has always included a survey and a new survey. I have always found it very crucial and very beneficial for my buyers. I have always said, and it sounds a little tacky, but you would never go and purchase a used vehicle without first checking the Carfax. I just don't understand why anybody would ever allow yourself or your clients to ever purchase a property without first being able to identify those properties and any the boundaries and any of the encroachments that may incur on that.
No, it may sound like a stupid question, but what do we learn from the survey? Now, we certainly learned the property lines, right?
Yes.
But are there other things that we learned from a survey?
Yes, absolutely. We definitely do. So besides just your property lines, you're also going to have, if you're in a subdivision, you're going to have your building lines. And that basically says that you're not allowed to build in front of that line. You're going to also be identifying your easements, your utility easements. You might not do so much so like whenever it comes to your subdivisions and lot and block, but once you get into meets and bounds, which is your acreage, if you're wanting to put in anything, let's just say you're out in the country and you're wanting to put in dog kennels or additional septic tanks, you're certainly going to have that survey to identify not just your boundary lines, but any easements that may go through those as well, such as your pipelines for one, or the well houses, because you have to be within, there's always going to be restrictions on where you can have those placed. So it's very crucial and very important.
So let's say I'm buying a home that's in a development where there's other homes and it's, quote, a 2,500 square foot home with a small yard, and I'm going to buy this house, and the realtor says, oh, well, here's a copy of the survey that was done way back or whenever. So how do I know if I need a new survey?
Well, if that survey was not issued to you and in your name, I would highly suggest that you get a new survey to be issued and placed into your names. Something that we have also seen as barrels come through and knock those fences down. We want to make sure that your fence lines are where they're supposed to be. We also, especially if you're in that area in a subdivision, where those utility easements are going to be, because a lot of times your buyers, especially with the smaller backyard, might want to just utilize that yard as a nice little backyard oasis and install a pool. And of course, now what we're seeing, especially with those freezes that's come through and these scares in this last freeze and this weather, is generators, and you're going to need that survey to place those onto the home.
So to place a generator, you're going to need a survey.
You will need a new survey because we need to identify, or they need to identify, those utility easements.
So it sounds like it's a good idea to start fresh anyway, to really know, and not necessarily, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but not necessarily rely on some old document that's been copied 5,000 times or whatever.
Absolutely. I'm going to want to make certain that this is up to date and most accurate.
Give us an idea. I'm sure it ranges your menu of costs and things, but what's it cost, again, going back to that, quote, normal 2,500 square foot home in a development with a, quote, small yard? About how much does a survey run, ballpark?
So our surveys are going to start at $450 for a very common lot and block. They're going to go up from there, and it's really going to depend on the location of the property, the terrain of the property, and all of the detail and the work that's really going to have to be placed into providing that survey. And
then let's take it, again, we're in Texas.
Yes.
There's some people that have 4 horses and ranches and things like that. So let's say we now have a home that's maybe a bigger home, 4,000 square feet on maybe 5 acres. How does a survey, what are we going to get there from a survey from the standpoint of what kind of work, not necessarily the price, but what kind of work needs to be done on a 5 acre, 4,000 square foot home like that?
That's a lot of footwork that's definitely going in to getting the measurements and such sort. We certainly do have that state-of-the-art equipment to go along with that. But along with work such as that, you're also going to go back into county records. That's a lot of studying and a lot of homework that's really done by the drafters and the engineers. We need to look and see if the property is zoned any certain way and if there's any restrictions.
That sounds good.
Yes.
A lot of work, because I'm thinking, especially, again, 5 acres, and there are some properties that are hundreds of acres.
Absolutely.
To where you have to know where that line is, right?
You do, because different parts of that acreage can be actually zoned in different areas. So how's business, by the way, at the survey? One. I know that there's been a lot of up and downs whenever it comes to, the market, with the buyers and definitely homes sitting on the market. But something about surveying is we have so many title companies here in the Houston area. Again, it's very expansive that we really haven't exactly noticed that slowdown, because whenever the buyers do slow down, what we do see is refinancing. And of course, refinancing is always just about going to require having those surveys done. And of course, there's the pools and Generacs, the generators and stuff. That's definitely going to continue to keep us busy.
And generators have been very popular.
Very popular, and they're becoming more popular.
You do residential and you do commercial. So if someone's
Yes.
out there and they have a business, they're going to buy a business, they're going to buy a shopping center, whatever they're going to do, you're helping them as well.
Absolutely.
What is the balance right now between residential, if you would, at this moment in time, of residential and commercial business that your company's doing? 50-50, or what would you say?
Our company gets a lot of commercial. I'm not sure what the ratio is going to be on that, especially since my business development is really generated more towards the residential and with the title companies. On those, I certainly do know that we certainly receive quite a bit of commercial as well. And with the areas expanding, definitely needing housing expanding in the areas with the economy, developers are certainly coming in with the subdivisions and get those platted and surveyed.
And what is your favorite task in this world of Survey One marketing? What is the thing there's a lot of things that go into marketing and things like that, right? Being on the radio is kind of fun, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So super fun. So, but in the meantime, what else do you really enjoy as part of your charge and your profession?
I know that it might just come from my little selfish part, but my absolute favorite part of my role as business development is definitely the relationships that I get to build with the community and with my title partners and the industry. It's a lot of fun. I really get to take reign on my creativity. I'm a very creative person, as long as it, certainly aligns with the company's values, so certain core values on that. But I think that's my favorite part. I get to go in with a lot of title companies and really help out on some amazing events, and it's really like pouring into others, and that's what I absolutely love the most. I feel that in my position, I am poured into quite a bit, and so I'm able to kind of just pour into others' experiences and that happiness, and that really makes me happy.
We're talking with Hannah Holland. The company is Survey One. She's leading the charge in marketing right here in Houston in a tremendous way for the company. What else should we know, Hannah?
Something else that you should know is that anytime that you are closing with your properties, you definitely need to be closing with Stewart Title.
Well, that's a good word. We appreciate that,
Absolutely.
Hannah. And let's tell people how they can reach you at Survey One, Hannah Holland.
Absolutely. So I do have a Facebook page, and it is Hannah Holland, MR. I really keep that to interact and keep engagement with my realtors and my title partners in my region. For surveys and quotes, you can certainly reach out to an email at survey1@survey1inc.com. And my personal phone number is 817-507-6869. That is 817-507-6869.
One more question. Going back to the regular house, how long generally does it take the survey to be done?
That's really going to depend. Predominantly, our delivery time is turnaround is 3 to 5 business days.
Sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
Hannah, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is with Stewart Insurance, John Bramlett. John, welcome to the show.
Howdy, Bill. Nice to be here as always.
Here we are, Go Texan edition number 2, and you see right over in the corner of the studio we have the steer right ready to go.
Absolutely.
In honor of the rodeo.
Yeah, and understand that you've got you're going to be a little bull riding after the show today.
Yes, indeed. That's why I have the hat and boots on. But as always, it's time to talk insurance right now.
Well, it's been interesting. We're fortunate in this market that the Houston Association of Realtors sponsors a great section in the Houston Chronicle every Sunday in and about real estate. And recently, they've had a series of articles about what to look for depending upon the element within a transaction, things to avoid. And it got me thinking about the way the market is right now in an insurance perspective and the way the market is right now in a real estate perspective. that it's important that you find that right advisor, whether you're looking for an insurance partner for yourself and your family, or if you're looking for your real estate business, that it truly is important that you find that right partner that can build a plan based upon your or your business's needs.
Well, so many important things. Just like when we talk to realtors here on a regular basis, the realtor has to have so many tools in their belt. So it's very important information.
Well, it is. I mean, when we're working with individuals or families for their personal and family insurance, the first question is always going to be, what are you looking for from a coverage perspective? Are you looking for something that's very broad? So if an issue occurs, you can offset some of those costs onto an insurance partner, or are you just looking for coverage in case you have a catastrophe? So you can handle a lot of it yourself, so you want to self-insure, but when a catastrophe comes, then you want to have coverage there. So we always look at that, and then that leads into kind of a wants and needs discussion. Is premium a driver for you? So do we need to look at making sure that the premium is something that you can afford? Is a deductible the issue? So do we need to discuss those, or what kind of coverages are important to you? So, is it important that you have all 4 types of water damage within the coverage? So understanding that, and then understanding, what's a want versus a need, what do you have and don't have, and then making sure that our client understands that. Because if they do understand that, then we're moving in the right direction. And I guess the fourth thing is also making sure that they understand that all policies are not the same. So, Bill, you and I could buy the same house, built at the same time, next door to each other on the same street, and we could have the same insurance company. But our policies are going to be different because your needs are different than mine. So it's important that our clients understand that, and it's not just assumed that auto insurance is auto insurance is auto insurance, or home insurance is all the same thing. So making sure that people, understand that, and then, walking through, making sure that, there are ways that we can, regardless of the coverage you want, there are still some ways that we can help people save money, and spending some time talking about that. And then I guess the last thing on the personal side is, are you dealing with somebody that's treating you like a client, or are they treating you like a transaction?
So many important things and so many details. When we think about the different kinds of coverage, as you're laying that out, how it can be different from one person to the other, I think certainly longer people listen to this segment, those that have listened on a regular basis, they know that there's so many details are part of the pie, so to speak. But also, just as we are homeowners year after year, or even if we're renters and we have car insurance year after year, or other insurance needs, I think the one message, even if you never listened to this insurance segment, is that you better read and know what you have.
Exactly.
Because it can be, you have no idea. And I think that other than so many of the other details, deductions, and it's just so important.
Well, it is. And again, having a partner that can help you walk through that, so that you walk away when you decide upon the coverage you're going to have, whether you be in a business or an individual, that you know what you do and you don't have. And if you're comfortable with that and you understand that, again, that goes back to our definition of being properly insured.
The associates at Stewart Insurance are doing a tremendous job. In fact, one of the things I'll point to, other than their ability and skills, is the longevity. The crew, when I started just 12 years ago, and some of them were on board way longer, you have a lot of those pillars of knowledge and experience in place. They're still there.
We do. We have a nice seasoned team. The team is committed to our clients. They're committed to helping people be properly insured, committed to investing the time with our clients to make sure that they understand, the coverage they have, whether it be working with somebody on their home insurance or a real estate broker on their errors and omissions, cyber liability, or general liability.
I remember conversations through the years with May, for example, Sonia. And as I talk to them, they're just so knowledgeable. They know they're bringing forth things that I didn't know to ask.
Well, and that's really the difference when I talked about that idea. Are you working with somebody that treats you like a client versus somebody that treats you like a transaction? A transaction, they're trying to sell you a policy, and let's move on to the next, check the box and move on to the next individual. If you're being treated like a client, we want to build a plan, whether that's one policy or several policies, but making sure, again, that you understand what the coverage is that you have, whether it's very conservative coverage or very robust, the most important thing is that you understand what you have.
No doubt about it. So, John, what are some of the other things we should know?
Well, from a business perspective, we also want to take a look at that, because many times we're finding with some of our clients that they may have a very general business insurance plan. So a general errors and omissions, or a general cyber liability, or a general liability plans that are nice coverage, but they're not written specifically for that business, and they're not written specifically for real estate. And what we find is that the language tends to be very vague. And we only work with our insurance partners that work in the real estate world. So they're very specific about coverages for real estate brokers, or coverage for independent title and attorney agents, or coverage for property management firms. So that's a critical. Understanding what changes might happen in your business, or what changes may be coming in your business. The services that you provide are going to drive the types of coverages that are available. So making sure that we understand the different services that you provide. And then, again, like we do on the personal line side, how risk averse are you? Are you willing to accept some risk, or do you want to make sure that you can offset those exposures? So those are all critical issues that we do. And then again, it's an idea of, do you want to work with somebody that treats you like a client versus a transaction?
When you think how risk adverse, I'm thinking, well, how big is your portfolio? How much padding do we have as individuals or corporations would be one of the guideposts, so to speak.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of things that come into play. And insurance, I think it's fascinating. I think as we age, as we watch our wealth management and things like this, taxes, insurance, purchase price, all these things come into play. But I think when we build our wealth, insurance sometimes is overlooked in terms, because it's so important. If we're spending too much, whether it's insurance, not enough, over here, over there, it all comes into play. So
absolutely. So, as your life changes, your needs are going to change. Sometimes it's going to need, if you're adding a family, you've got a growing family, you've got a larger home, you may need some additional coverage. If you're downsizing, the family's moved out, and maybe it's just a husband and wife, maybe you need less coverage. But again, it also depends upon, what your financial situation, and the same with the real estate business. If you're a smaller boutique agency, some of the coverage you need may be differently than somebody that's got 1,000 agents or 10 offices.
So when we think about, from the realtor standpoint, so many things can trigger a real estate transaction, whether someone wants to buy, move, and all these things. But so many things can trigger our looking at our insurance being properly insured, and that could be simply, and I think most people just rely on, a renewal notice. I better start thinking about my insurance, whether it's a car or the home or whatever. And then there could also be, like you were saying, the life change thing. Something happens in our life where, we don't have that driver anymore, or we're going to add a driver. So it's just fascinating. Things are dynamic all the time. John, let's tell people how they can reach you and talk to one of the great associates at Stewart Insurance. I know they've heard me talk and brag through the years about the team that we have, but they might want to call and talk to May or Sonia, some of the great people on the team.
Absolutely. They can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. They can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, or they can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
John, what if someone's in Colorado?
Colorado, they can call us at 866-798-2827. We'd be happy to help them out.
Covering people all over the United States in a magnificent way, 24/7. The phone number again, just for the fun of it, is
866-798-2827.
Thank you, John Bramlett.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
I do want to say we have business development people like nobody else does in the title world. In fact, our guests are provided each and every show by our super team. In fact, right here, this show was put together by 3 tremendous individuals on the Stewart Title team. That's right, Morgan Waters. She's in our League City office. She brought Jen on the show today. Becky Bohannon brought Buck Perino. She's doing a tremendous job in Tomball, Texas, winning awards right and left year after year. Jana McGuire in Clear Lake, riding rocket ships all the time right there in the Stewart Title office by NASA. She's doing a tremendous job as well. She brought Hannah on the show. So before we close the show, we got a few minutes, and we're going to revisit our guest. And here he is once again. Oh, yeah. the Realtor on Horseback, Buck Perino.
Howdy, sir.
Howdy, man. Just like a regular Texan, Buck. You are doing tremendous work. I bet, let's just take a dramatic example. Someone that lives in New York City, I bet they'd want to search out the Realtor on Horseback just to get that culture change and to see what it's all about.
Absolutely. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping by, presenting this and, putting my information out there and being the best at what I do, that someone from out of town can, really want to take interest in that and say, hey, I want part of the Texas life. This guy's living it.
So give us an idea, a day in the life of Buck Perino as you're helping people. I know it's different. You might be working on a listing or helping some buyers, but what are some of the things you do to keep the business running and keep the pump prime, so to speak?
What I usually do is, after, of course, all the pony chores, taking care of the horses, I am, networking with other agents, networking in my community, kind of taking an involvement and just being present in areas where people can see me. And
one of the things I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, as far as horses go, most of us don't own a horse, but I think we all love horses. We have a fascination about them. We see them on TV and all the different shows out there. But as far as taking care of a horse, what's involved? I mean, how many pounds of food do they eat a day? I mean, I've got a 15-pound dog, and he's like a bottomless pit. What about the horses?
Man, I probably go through about 3 pounds. I probably go through about 3 pounds of food between 3 of the horses and maybe 4 pounds in a single horse in a day. So I'd say about 7 pounds of food a day.
7 pounds a day. And what do they eat? You
Well,
see people feeding them carrots and things like that.
You can give them carrots and treats. So they just eat a senior feed, and then we give them a ton of hay throughout the day.
And then they're okay.
They're
and then they've got a barn, and they're all happy.
Yep, they got grass if they want to go eat fresh grass too. We let them out part of the day too. So it's just keep them fed and happy because keep them out of trouble.
So if you walk through the barn and you say, "Hey, Cobra, it's time for another listing," does he know what's about
No,
that?
Cobra. If he's out in our lot, he'll run away. He sees that trailer get hooked up, he don't want to go because he doesn't. If he leaves, he's got to work. He's a lazy boy. He will run away in a heartbeat. But you just go catch him. He'll cooperate and you just go.
It's true.
Fun.
They have personalities, though.
Every single one has their own personality.
So these 4 horses you have, each one is a little different.
100%.
And they have a different mindset.
That's correct.
But you have one that likes to work, right?
One that's Stetson. He loves to work. He is a workhorse. My wife, example, took him out on a 12-hour trail ride, and he wanted more after the
12 hours. Wow, that's amazing. In fact, I was watching the show 1923, I think it is, and a lot of horses
awesome
on that.
show.
And I forget which scene it was last night, but the guy goes, he's going to take the horse like 100 miles or some kind. Well, I'm going to go over here. It's 100 miles away. I'm thinking, man, where are they going to stop for water and stuff like that?
I wonder that too. They're in the desert. What are they
There's
eating?
no Buc-ee's.
That's right. Unfortunately, no Buc-ee's.
Well, Buck, let's tell people how they can reach you, the Realtor on Horseback, and remind them where they can see the videos, please.
You can reach me at 512-364-1303 or therealtoronhorseback.com or my Instagram, The Realtor on Horseback, or maybe on YouTube at Buck Perino. 512-364-1303.
Thank you, Buck Perino. And now she is back with SoCo Realty, Jen Little. Jen has her Western gear on. I want to remind you to go to stewart.com/radio to see some of the Western gear we're all wearing here on the show today. Jen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Having a great time.
Well, it's awesome to see you. And give us an idea. What else do you want people to know? You have a tremendous shirt on there with speaking of horses, you got the horses, the cowboy belt, and everything.
Well, I like to bring it, that's for sure. Whether it's Western or whatever. If you ask me to do something, I'm going to come with it. So that's what I did.
Ready to go. So have you been to the rodeo yet here?
I have not, but I have tickets to Brooks and Dunn. I'm super excited.
Oh, my goodness.
Thanks to Stewart Title.
How about that? Well, your favorite title company then might be?
Stewart Title, yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, they have every bit of 20 top hits and tremendous performers.
Yes, I'm very excited. They're super talented.
Now, what if after the show, Brooks and Dunn came over and they said, Jen, I heard you on the show, on the Real Estate Matters show. I want to buy a ranch.
I would say you did a good job. You called your home girl, and I'm super excited to help you out.
No doubt about it, huh?
Yeah.
They probably need, if they don't have a home right here in the area, you can help them.
100%.
So, real estate, we're all optimistic. You're pretty optimistic about the year unfolding, right?
Yes, I have a lot of hope this year. it's going to be a good year in real estate.
And when you plan for your next week and maybe even a month in advance, what are some of the things you think about to make sure that you're covering all the bases? You seem very detail-oriented. I'm just wondering.
Well, it's hard to plan because every day is different, but I try to do this, structurally. I try to do the same thing every day. I start with a workout, and then I, take my emails and my client calls and see what the day is going to bring to me. So, like I said, it's always different.
When he was talking about the horses eating 7 pounds, the Great Dane probably does her share too.
She does. She loves to eat, and I'm going to get in big trouble if I don't also mention my cockatoo, Coco. She's a pink bird, and we're teaching her real estate terms. So,
wouldn't that be cool to have so that it can mimic back the real estate terms?
Yes.
Closing.
Yes, exactly.
Check.
Yep.
Check. Here's your check.
I'm trying to teach her call your homegirl right now. So.
Call your homegirl. Well, when you get that done, record that. We'll play it on the show, Jen.
I would love to do that.
And let's tell people how to reach you, Jen Little.
Please come and visit my website, www.buysellsoco.com. That's BUYSELL, SOCO, SOCO.com. You can reach me at 409-739-1265 and on Facebook at Jen Little, 409-739-1265.
Thanks for being with us, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
And now, Hannah Holland. Hannah, I have a question for you. Yes, absolutely. It's a historic question. Who is one of the most famous historic surveyors?
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know that, but you're close. George Washington.
And George Washington, but yes, Abraham.
He
Lincoln.
loved George. I read several books about him. He loved, that was one of his passions, surveying the land, and before any of the other things, he was a surveyor.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have worked for Survey One if he would,
He could have. Yes.
So before we close the show, in fact, the final minutes, Hannah, what else should we know about your company, Survey One?
Something else we should certainly know about our company with Survey One is that, we built our reputation and our business on exceptional customer service and just genuine care for our clients and for the community. But that's really the cornerstone of our business. I certainly believe, and something I have recently heard and really just kind of resonate with, is that you can give the best price to your customers or to anybody, but if that is not followed by care and customer service, then you've really ripped them off. Hannah Holland with Survey One. How can we reach you, Hannah? Absolutely. You can reach me. My email is Hannah, HANNAH, that's forwards and backwards, at survey1inc with the number 1.com. And for any quotes or for our services, you can email our main line at survey1@survey1inc.com. You know what? I don't need a survey, but I feel like I want to get one just because. Just because? Is that okay? Absolutely. So, and by the way, if you're a homeowner and you just want to have a survey out of curiosity, maybe you didn't have a good, anybody can get a survey at any time. Is that correct? At any time, yes. You can definitely get a survey at any time. And our surveys were pretty nerdy, I'd like to say. We print our surveys in color and we laminate those. I think those are certainly very handy because now you actually have a blueprint of your property. So if you are considering adding expanding a patio or adding a pool or anything, then you can certainly get your dry erase markers and get to work there. I bet they'd make a nice gift too. Definitely, absolutely. I think that they would make a great, a closing gift as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Great job. Thank you so much, Hannah Holland, and thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. And I want to say once again, our business development people, wherever you are in Houston, we are also an international company all over the United States and beyond. But right here in Houston, we have about 17 individuals doing tremendous work at all of our Stuart Title offices. They are resources. They do tremendous things. Continuing education classes, special events. They'll help you with your needs. If you're a real estate professional or otherwise, just reach out to them. Go to Stewart.com to find out the closest Stewart office. And once again, we thank you for listening to the show. Check us out next week. It'll be Go Texan edition number 3. Simply go to Stewart.com/radio. On behalf of myself, Bill Knapik, John Bramlett, all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance, thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.